After a 10-month hiatus away from the layout, I needed a way to ease my way back into building again. After completing the apartment building that I showed in my last video, I wanted a simple structure this time to remind me what to do, both in Inkscape, putting the things together again. Building a garage seemed the right way to go. Welcome to Corcordia, my mostly scratch-built layout, loosely set in 1940s New England, and based on the model railroading classic, H.O. Railroad That Grows, except I'm building it in N-scale. As I do with all my scratch-built projects now, I start off in Inkscape, designing the building that I want to create. And in this one, I was thinking it was going to be a simple project, but it kind of grew in the process of creating it. It's a simple four-sided building, nothing complex to it really. I wanted a crow-stepped facade on the gable ends. The other feature I was looking for was a roof line that was captured by a parapet wall so that there'd be like no eaves on it. I've seen it in a number of model railways. Here's one from Station Road Model Railway, and another from Chandwell. I like that look of it, and I thought for a garage, it would be simple to design. It was another feature I was looking for. For the actual design of the building, I got inspiration from a couple of garages that are actually by my house. This one is in a park that I take my dog to walk in every morning, and this one is in the same park. As you can see, it's got that captured roof. It doesn't have the crow-stepped gable, but it's got the roof, and these are where I got my designs from. Once I had the design in Inkscape down, then it was a matter of printing it out on paper to get an idea as to what it would look like, and this seems small. So we went through a couple of other iterations of increasing its size, and this one was a little larger in comparison. On the right path, had the features that I was looking for. Ultimately, I got to the size that I was looking for. It was then a go to cut it out of card, just to make sure one more time everything looked good. And then it was time to start building. I imported the design from Inkscape into my Cricut machine and set it up to start cutting out the different pieces. I've mentioned before that I find this a much faster way of doing it, but I like how it comes out very precise, very exact, and I think it makes my builds better. And here are all the pieces cut to the exact size at the end, including all that crow stepping. I purposely had it not cut all the way through the card. I've been noticing that it's been tearing the card a little bit. Maybe I need a new blade. And I've been having in the back of my mind, as I mentioned previously, building a Metcalf model style building. I was testing out whether or not it would work, and it seems to be doing quite well. Might adjust the settings a little bit to make it a little bit closer to being cut through, but I'm happy with the way it turned out. It's a pain in the neck going through all those steps here, cutting them out, but it's better than having to have cut them out all by hand all the way through. So I'll take it as it comes. I've had various textures printed to cardstock, and these here are the gabled end walls. That's just a cinder block wall. There's no real design on them. And so I just cut them out using a scalpel and a straight edge. These aren't cut out on the Cricut. I can do that. I have done that in the past, but I decided to do it by hand this time. Once the texture is cut out, I then glue it to the cardstock and begin cutting it out to shape it around the design. The front of this has a brick pattern on it, so I want the brick to show on the sides of those crow steps. So I'm cutting out each individual step, and then I'm going to wrap it around the card so that it doesn't show any of the gray card when the design is done. On top of each of those steps, I'll have be like a capstone on there. Here's a completed end wall, and with all the texture wrapped around the card, there's no card edges shown. Now what I'm doing here is I'm test fitting the glazing wall. This is where I'm going to attach the windows and the doors, and I'm just test fitting to make sure that everything lined up, and it did. So I had my Cricut machine cut out my window sashes, and I've got some glue on them. Now I'm just gluing them in place on the wall, and they stick pretty quick. So now I'm going to attach that to the back of the garage there, and just adjusting it a little bit, making sure that it looks fine. Once I'm happy with it, I test it again, and now the sash is centered in the window opening, so now the walls can be glued together. There are 3 garage bays, and they're all separated by walls. So as you notice here, the wall that I'm installing now has a cinder block face on it. No one's ever going to see that. But if you happen to look through one of those windows, you might be able to see the cinder block. It's not going to be a lit building at all, so you'll never see it, but I wanted to add that in there as well. One image you might see is this ladder leaning up against the wall in the open garage bay, just over a pinup girl calendar. Nah, you'll never see any of that in there, but I had fun adding it anyway. And here it is through the open garage door. The roof starts as a piece of 0.5 millimeter card that's bent to be captured by the parapets on either side, and they're glued down. And then I take glue and I glue the top. Of course, then I'm going to take a printed piece of cardstock with a roof texture on it, and I'm going to glue that on top of it. Just pressing it into place, and this is coming out exactly as I wanted it to. We're getting close to the end. I'm cutting out the ridge cap for the roof, and now I'm creasing it with the back of my scalpel. I glue along the edge, and then I press the ridge cap into place on top. This was one of the more tedious steps, placing the capstones on the steps of the gable, but in the end it actually looks pretty good and really sets it off. So we have the completed garage. Like I said, without a lighted building, you'll never see that ladder and calendar in there. But I wanted that open garage bay to line up right behind the driveway that'll be coming down alongside the apartment building. So that helped us get back into the swing of things, building the garage. And as it turns out, it's kind of like riding a bike. You really don't forget. I was able to jump back into Inkscape again right away. No issues. And constructing the building made it come together very easy. So what will we build next? So we'll be taking a look at an Art Deco movie theater. I think we have some design work we still need to do on that, but that'll be coming out in the weeks ahead. Okay, thanks for watching.